Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. My name is Crystal Holloman, a digital reporter here at News 10. And we're going to take you to St. John's, where the jury has reached a verdict in the trial of Thomas Olson. That is him right there in the middle with his attorney on the right. We're still waiting for the judge to come in, so there's not a whole lot to hear right now, but we are anticipating the verdict to be read. All right, and for those of you just joining us, this is inside of the courtroom in St. John's in Clinton County. Right there, those people focused on the camera, those are friends and family of Thomas Olson. And then closer to the camera on what would be your right side of the courtroom is Chong Yang, the victim's family. So right there, closest on the right side of the aisle, that is Chong Yang's family in those two rows. sitting behind the prosecution. Closer to the coat rack is Thomas Olson in the middle, in between his legal team.
Okay, all rise, please. When this report is back in session.
Thank you. Everyone, please go ahead and have a seat. We are back on the record now in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Thomas Olson. This is our file 23-11383 FC. The court has been advised by the jury through communication that they have reached a verdict. Before I bring the jury out, Mr. Cunningham, is there anything that I need to address for the people?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Manley, for defense. Is there anything I need to address?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, then we are on for the jury.
All rise for the jury.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon, jury. Who was picked as a foreperson? All right, ma'am, would you please stand? And I will refer to you as a juror number 5. Juror number 5, foreperson. Did the jury reach a verdict?
Yes, we have.
Is the verdict unanimous?
Yes, it is.
Is that verdict reflected on the form?
Yes.
Do you have the form?
No, I give it to you.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I'm glad I didn't read it then. Then I'm going to give this to my court officer to have him hand this back to you.
Okay. My apologies.
Oh, wait, hold on just a second. So this is the verdict, and your verdict is reflected on this form?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and read the verdict to myself. I'm going to hand the verdict back to my bailiff, who is going to hand it to our foreperson. I'm going to ask that the defendant please stand for the reading of the verdict. And now I'm going to ask the foreperson, you, juror number 5, to please read the verdict.
Do I read the header material as well?
Yes.
Okay. State of Michigan versus Thomas Charles Olson, defendant. On count 1, we find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder. And on count 2, we find the defendant guilty of a possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
All right, thank you. Foreperson, is that your verdict?
Yes, it is.
You may be seated. At this time, I'm going to ask the attorneys, do you wish for me to poll the jury? I will start with you, Mr. Cunningham.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Manley, do you want me to poll the jury?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. I will start then in the back, and I will refer to you as juror number 1. Was that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 2, was that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 3, was that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 4, was that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 6, was that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 7, was that your verdict? You are juror number 9, was that your verdict?
Yes.
Number 10, was that your verdict? Number 11, was that your
Yes.
verdict? I have miscounted. Was that your verdict, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. And was that your verdict?
Yes.
All right. I accept this verdict as unanimous. Let the record reflect this verdict is unanimous, and it will be filed with the clerk and entered as a judgment. At this time, I'm going to thank and discharge the jury. I'm going to go ahead and ask that you return to the jury room and wait there for just a few more minutes for instructions. Thank you kindly for your service. All rise for the jury. Everyone, please have a seat. I will note for the record that I'm preserving the jury questions and the written jury instructions for the file. I am going to go off the record briefly. I'm ordering that counsel and clients remain in the courtroom. I will go back on the record here shortly.
All rise, please. Thank you. Let me see the-
Okay, we just heard from the judge right there. Speaking with the jury, it is a unanimous verdict that Thomas Olson is found guilty in the 2018 murder of Chong Yang. That is a case that 2 men were actually charged with last year, and now one of the charges against one of the men were dropped. The other is Olson. You see Chong Yang's family right there closest to the camera, and then as our camera focuses on more of his family who have been waiting years for a verdict and some answers in this case. Our Aaron Bowling is there, and right there in the middle of those 3 men, that is Thomas Olson, flanked by his legal team on either side. This is a story we've been following for years, since 2018. So our Aaron Bowling is there. She will have more on this coming up in our 5 o'clock and our 6 o'clock newscast. So make sure you tune in there. We're also going to have some more updates in our First at 4 newscast coming up in about an hour and a half or so. So we'll have all the latest on this case. But once again, Thomas Olson has been found guilty of the murder of Chong Yang in 2018 in the Rose State Park area, a case that went cold for many, many years and now has a verdict. So we will end this live stream and tune in for more, starting with First at 4.